It starts like every other morning. Passengers arrive at JFK with coffee in hand, boarding passes on their phones, carry-ons wheeling behind them. The departure boards glow with dozens of cities: Atlanta, Miami, Los Angeles, London. Everything is on time. Gate assignments are posted. Flights are boarding. The rhythm is predictable. People check their watches, not because they're worried, but because they know exactly when to move. Security lines flow. Restaurants serve breakfast. Announcements echo through terminals. The system hums with the kind of precision most people don't even notice until it's gone. Airports are not designed to stop. They're designed to move 50,000 people through narrow corridors, up escalators, into seats, and into the air. On this morning, everything looks exactly as it should. Bags move down conveyor belts, ground crews marshal planes toward jetways, passengers scroll through their phones while waiting to board. Nobody knows what's about to happen. Not the gate agents, not the operations managers, not the air traffic controllers watching screens full of green dots. The morning looks completely normal because the failure hasn't started yet. And when it does, it won't announce itself. Modern airports are timing machines. Every departure depends on the one before it. Every arrival creates space for the next. Gates turn over in minutes. Crews have 30-minute windows between flights. Baggage handlers work in synchronized bursts. Air traffic controllers stack planes in invisible corridors, 3 miles apart, descending in sequence. Fuel trucks arrive precisely when tanks are empty. Catering vehicles swap meal carts while passengers are still boarding. The entire system runs on assumptions. Assumptions that weather will be predictable, that staffing will be adequate, that technology will not fail, that passengers will behave as expected, that delays, when they happen, will be small and containable. These assumptions hold almost all the time. But airports don't fail gradually. They fail in cascades. One delayed flight blocks a gate. That gate was supposed to turn around another plane. That plane was supposed to carry a crew to their next assignment. That crew was supposed to operate a flight across the country. A 15-minute delay in one city can destroy punctuality in 5 others. Airports are built for throughput, not patience. They're built for movement, not storage. And when movement stops, the machine doesn't pause, it clogs. The first delay shows up at LaGuardia just after 8 a.m. A flight to Chicago is held on the ground for air traffic spacing. 10 minutes, then 15. Nothing unusual. Passengers don't even look up. Gate agents make apologetic announcements. The plane eventually pushes back and joins the departure queue. But that delay has already set off a chain. The plane that was supposed to use that gate is now circling, waiting for space. Its passengers, already in the air, have no idea they'll be late. The crew operating that delayed flight is now behind schedule for their next assignment. The flight they were supposed to operate is still boarding, but without a full crew. In operations centers, dispatchers start making adjustments. Swap this crew, hold that flight, push this departure, reroute that aircraft. These are normal decisions. They happen every day. But today, they're happening faster than usual, and the delays aren't resolving, they're spreading. By 9 a.m., a dozen flights across 3 East Coast airports are running 15 to 30 minutes late. Not enough to panic, just enough to tighten every connection, every crew pairing, every gate assignment. The system absorbs it, for now. The first delay shows up at LaGuardia just after 8 a.m. A flight to Chicago is held on the ground for air traffic spacing. 10 minutes, then 15. Nothing unusual. Passengers don't even look up. Gate agents make apologetic announcements. The plane eventually pushes back and joins the departure queue. But that delay has already set off a chain. The plane that was supposed to use that gate is now circling, waiting for space. Its passengers, already in the air, have no idea they'll be late. The crew operating that delayed flight is now behind schedule for their next assignment. The flight they were supposed to operate is still boarding, but without a full crew. In operations centers, dispatchers start making adjustments. Swap this crew, hold that flight, push this departure, reroute that aircraft. These are normal decisions. They happen every day. But today, they're happening faster than usual, and the delays aren't resolving, they're spreading. By 9 a.m., a dozen flights across 3 East Coast airports are running 15 to 30 minutes late. Not enough to panic, just enough to tighten every connection, every crew pairing, every gate assignment. The system absorbs it. For now. Connecting passengers start to worry. A 30-minute delay at JFK means a missed connection in Atlanta. But the Atlanta flight is also delayed, so maybe it's fine. Except now the gate agent can't confirm. The system says the connecting flight is boarding. The passenger's app says it's delayed. The departure board says it's on time. Nobody has the same information. This is when people start moving faster through terminals, running toward gates, calling airlines, refreshing apps. Airline agents begin the math. Can we hold the flight? Is the inbound plane even here? Do we have another crew? How many people are connecting? These calculations used to have time. Now they're happening under pressure. At Newark, a flight to Denver is delayed because the inbound plane is late from Charlotte, but Charlotte is delayed because of weather in the southeast, and the weather isn't even that bad. Just enough to slow everything down, just enough to break the spacing. By 10 a.m., the delays are no longer isolated, they're linked. A late departure in Boston affects Philadelphia, a ground stop in D.C. ripples to Chicago, a crew timeout in Dallas cascades to Phoenix. The connections are invisible to passengers, but they're real, and they're tightening. Airlines have been running lean for years. Fewer reserve crews, tighter staffing, more efficient schedules. It works when everything goes right, but today, small gaps begin to matter. A flight attendant calls in sick in Houston. Normally, there's a backup. Today, the backup is already covering another flight. A pilot reaches their maximum duty hours in Denver. Normally, a replacement is nearby. Today, that replacement is stuck on a delayed flight in Minneapolis. These aren't dramatic failures. They're small, predictable problems that usually get solved quietly. But the usual solutions depend on slack, and there isn't any. Operations managers start making harder choices. Cancel this flight to protect that one. Combine 2 half-empty flights into one. Delay a departure to wait for a crew. Every decision makes sense in isolation, but together they start to fracture the day's schedule. At JFK, a gate agent tells passengers their flight is delayed 2 hours for crew rest requirements. The passengers don't understand. The plane is right there. The pilots are right there. But the rules are the rules, and the rules don't bend just because the system is under pressure. By 11 a.m., staffing is no longer invisible. It's the reason flights aren't leaving. Then the weather arrives. Not a storm, just clouds, just wind, just enough to slow the arrival rate at major airports. Air traffic control switches from visual approaches to instrument approaches. That means more spacing between planes, wider gaps, slower landings. At Newark, the arrival rate drops from 40 planes per hour to 28. That's 12 planes per hour that now have nowhere to go. They circle, they divert, they burn fuel and wait. The delays that were 15 minutes are now 45. The delays that were 30 minutes are now 2 hours. Weather is always the official reason, but weather isn't the problem. Weather is the trigger. The problem is that the system was already running at the edge. There was no buffer, no room for anything unexpected. A normal weather day in 2015 would have caused minor delays. Today, it causes collapse because the schedule was built assuming perfect conditions, perfect crew availability, perfect passenger behavior, perfect gate timing, and none of that is true anymore. By noon, weather is mentioned in every announcement, but passengers can see the sky. It's cloudy, not storming, and they don't understand why that means their flight to Florida is canceled. The cancellations begin in waves. At first, airlines cancel flights strategically. The ones that are least full, the ones with the fewest connections, the ones that can be absorbed into later departures. But then the cancellations start chasing each other. A flight is canceled because the crew is stuck. That crew was supposed to operate another flight. Now that flight is canceled. The passengers on that flight were supposed to connect to others. Now those flights leave half empty. But they can't be canceled because their crews are already in place and their passengers are already boarded. Rebooking begins immediately. But there aren't enough open seats. The next flight to Orlando is full. The one after that is full. The first available option is tomorrow morning. Passengers are handed hotel vouchers, but the hotels near the airport are already full. Customer service lines grow. Phone wait times stretch to 2 hours. The app crashes under load. Passengers start making their own decisions. Rent a car, take a train, drive 8 hours, anything to keep moving. Because staying in the airport means waiting in a system that has stopped promising anything. By 1 p.m., more flights are being canceled than are departing, and the departures that do happen are hours late. Terminals begin to fill, not with travelers passing through, with people who have nowhere to go. They sit on floors, lean against walls, charge phones at every available outlet. Children sleep on jackets. Adults scroll through rebooking options that don't exist. The restaurants run out of food. The bathrooms run out of paper towels. The charging stations run out of ports. These spaces were designed for flow, not occupancy. A gate area that comfortably seats 80 now holds 200. People camp at gates that aren't theirs, hoping for standby seats. They watch the departure boards obsessively, waiting for their flight to reappear. But the boards keep changing. Flights that said delayed now say canceled. Flights that said on time now say delayed. Gate assignments swap without warning. Passengers walk to gate B7 and find a flight to Denver when they were supposed to board for Seattle. Customer service desks are overrun. Lines stretch down concourses. Agents repeat the same script. We're doing everything we can. We'll get you on the next available flight. Please be patient. But patience requires trust, and trust requires information, and the information keeps changing. By 2 p.m., the terminals don't look like terminals anymore. They look like waiting rooms with no end time. The communication breakdown is silent but total. Gate agents don't have accurate information about inbound planes. Passengers don't have accurate information about their rebookings. Operations centers don't have accurate information about crew locations. The systems are overwhelmed. Airline apps show one thing, airport screens show another. Gate agents say a third. A passenger asks when their flight will board. The agent checks the system. It says on time. The passenger shows their phone. This says canceled. The agent refreshes. Now it says delayed 2 hours. Nobody is lying. The information is just moving faster than the systems can update. And when systems can't keep up, people stop trusting them. Passengers begin approaching other passengers. Did you hear anything about the flight to Dallas? Is your app working? Do you know if they're boarding? The airport has become a rumor network. People share gate changes, warn each other about long lines, offer charging cables. They form small communities of the stranded. Meanwhile, airline operations centers are trying to rebuild the day from scratch. Move this plane here, deadhead that crew there, swap aircraft, cancel and consolidate. But every fix creates a new problem, and the problems are arriving faster than the fixes. By 3 p.m., nobody believes the screens anymore. Federal crew rest rules are strict. Pilots and flight attendants can only work a certain number of hours. After that, they must rest. These rules exist for safety. They're non-negotiable, but they are also inflexible. A crew that was scheduled to operate a flight at 4 p.m. has been waiting since noon because their inbound plane was delayed. Now they've hit their duty limit, they can't fly. The plane is ready, the passengers are ready, but the crew is legally grounded. Airlines scramble to find replacements, but the replacements are scattered across the system, stuck on their own delayed flights. At O'Hare, a flight to Phoenix sits at the gate for 3 hours waiting for a flight attendant, just one. The rest of the crew is there, the passengers are boarded, but the rules require a full crew, and the missing flight attendant is stuck in Detroit. These aren't errors. These are rules working exactly as designed. But the system was built assuming crews would arrive on time, that delays would be minor, that recovery would be quick. None of that is true today. By 5 p.m., crew legality has become the primary reason for cancellations. Not weather, not mechanical issues, just math. The day has run too long and the people who operate it are out of time. Baggage systems are designed to move bags from check-in to plane in under 30 minutes. But that assumes planes depart on schedule. Today, planes are sitting at gates for hours, or they're canceled, or they're swapped. Bags that were loaded are now unloaded. Bags that were sorted to one flight are resorted to another. The system can't keep up. Bags pile up in sorting areas, conveyor belts jam. Handlers work as fast as they can, but the volume is impossible. Passengers who do manage to board a flight often arrive without their luggage. The bags are somewhere, just not on the same plane. Lost baggage claims overflow. Passengers fill out forms. They're told their bags will arrive on the next flight, but nobody knows when the next flight is. Some passengers have been traveling for 12 hours and still haven't left the state. Their bags are in 3 different cities, tracked but not retrieved. At baggage claim carousels, people wait for hours. The carousel spins, a few bags tumble out, then nothing, then a few more. Then it stops. An agent makes an announcement. If your bag hasn't arrived, please proceed to the baggage service office. The line for that office wraps around the terminal. By 6 p.m., thousands of bags are orphaned across the country. Customer service collapses under volume. There simply aren't enough agents. The phone lines have 2-hour wait times. The app is unresponsive. The ticket counters have lines stretching the length of the terminal. Agents are doing their best, but their systems are slow, their options are limited, and every conversation takes 15 minutes. Passengers ask reasonable questions. When is the next flight? Can I get a hotel? Will you refund this ticket? The answers are slow to come. The systems are lagging. The policies are unclear. Some airlines are offering vouchers, others aren't. Some are rebooking automatically, others require passengers to call. There's no consistency, and the agents don't have authority to override policies. So they apologize, they explain, they try to help, but the help is inadequate. Passengers grow frustrated, voices rise, some people cry, others argue, a few just walk away. The agents absorb it all. They've been working 12-hour shifts, they're exhausted, and the problems keep coming. By 7 p.m., customer service has stopped being service. It's triage. Help who you can, apologize to the rest, and hope tomorrow is better. People stop moving. They camp at gates with no assigned flights. They sit in hallways. They sprawl across concourse floors. Some try to sleep. Others just stare at their phones. There's a strange quiet in the chaos. The energy of the morning has drained. The hope of midday has faded. What's left is resignation. Passengers stop asking when their flight will leave. They just wait. Families huddle together. Business travelers work from the floor, laptops balanced on bags. College students share chargers. Elderly passengers sit in wheelchairs, too tired to stand in more lines. Food courts close because they've run out of supplies. Newsstands sell out of snacks. Water fountains have lines. The airport has become a refugee camp for the middle class. Nobody planned to be here. Nobody wants to be here. But leaving isn't an option. Their bags are checked, their tickets are booked, their hotel rooms back home are rented out. So they stay and they wait, and they hope the system will start moving again. By 8 p.m., the terminals are full of people who have given up on today. They're just trying to survive until tomorrow. Sleeping in airports used to be rare. Something you did if you had an early flight or a long layover. Tonight, it's routine. Thousands of people are spending the night, not by choice, by necessity. Some have blankets from airlines, others use jackets. Parents make beds out of carry-ons for their children. Couples take shifts sleeping so someone can watch their belongings. The lights stay on. The announcements continue. Cleaning crews work around sleeping passengers. It's surreal. An airport at night is supposed to be empty, quiet, a pause between days. But tonight, it's occupied. The few flights that do depart leave behind hundreds of people who weren't selected, standby lists that never cleared, rebookings that never confirmed. Passengers watch planes push back and taxi away, knowing they should have been on them. Airport staff hand out thin blankets and apology letters. Hotels are full for 50 miles. Rental cars are gone. Uber prices have surged beyond reason. The only option is to stay. By midnight, the terminals look like disaster shelters, except there was no hurricane, no earthquake, just a system that stopped working, and nobody knows when it will start again. The next morning, the airports are still full. Flights resume, but slowly. Planes are out of position, crews are out of hours, gates are occupied by aircraft that should have left yesterday. The system isn't recovering, it's just continuing in a broken state. Departures happen, but they don't clear the backlog. For every flight that leaves, 2 more are delayed. Passengers who slept in terminals join passengers arriving fresh. The lines grow longer, the frustration deepens. Airports are no longer moving people toward destinations, they're storing them, holding them, cycling them through gates and delays and cancellations without progress. Some passengers give up, they retrieve their bags and go home. They'll try again next week. Others double down. They camp at customer service, they beg for seats, they offer to fly anywhere just to get moving. The psychology has shifted. People aren't traveling anymore, they're surviving. And the airports, designed for efficiency and speed, have become warehouses of waiting. Operations managers work around the clock trying to reset, but every solution takes time, and time is the one thing they don't have. By noon on the second day, the flow hasn't returned. It's just slow chaos instead of fast chaos. Airlines attempt recovery operations. They fly empty planes to reposition aircraft. They deadhead crews across the country to staff flights. They consolidate passengers onto fewer flights and cancel the rest. In theory, this should work. Concentrate resources, reduce complexity, rebuild the schedule from scratch. But in practice, it creates new congestion. Deadhead crews take up seats that passengers need. Repositioned planes occupy gates that other flights need. Consolidated flights have longer boarding times, which delays pushback, which delays the next flight. The recovery creates its own gridlock. At some airports, the situation improves. Smaller cities with less traffic clear their backlogs. Flights to regional destinations resume normal operations. But major hubs stay clogged. JFK, Newark, LaGuardia, O'Hare, Atlanta, LAX. These airports handle so much traffic that even small inefficiencies compound into hours of delay. And today's inefficiencies aren't small. Passengers who were rebooked onto recovery flights find those flights are now delayed. The cycle continues. The frustration deepens. By the third day, some normalcy returns, but it's fragile. One more delay, one more cancellation, and the system could collapse again. Everyone can feel it. Some airports recover faster than others. Denver clears its backlog by the afternoon of the second day. Dallas stabilizes by the third. Their operations teams worked aggressively, their geography helped, their weather cooperated. But the East Coast remains a mess. New York's 3 major airports are still running hours behind. Every departing flight is late. Every arriving flight circles. Passengers who flew out of Denver on time land in Newark and find chaos. Their connection is canceled, their gate is reassigned, their baggage is missing. The failure isn't uniform, it's geographic, localized. But because the aviation network is interconnected, one region's failure affects the entire country. A plane that's delayed in New York can't operate its next flight in Miami. A crew stuck in Newark can't staff a departure in Charlotte. The system doesn't have clean boundaries. Problems leak across time zones. Passengers begin routing around the chaos. They book flights through secondary cities. They avoid New York entirely. They pay more to fly through hubs that are functioning. The market adapts, but the adaptation is inefficient and expensive. By the 4th day, most airports are operational, but trust hasn't returned. The ripple spreads beyond aviation. Rental car companies run out of vehicles because passengers are choosing to drive instead of fly. Hotels in hub cities are full of stranded travelers. Businesses miss meetings. Families miss weddings. Medical appointments are canceled. The delays touch everything. Cargo flights are also affected. Packages don't arrive, supply chains hiccup, perishable goods spoil in transit. The aviation system isn't just about passengers, it's about connectivity. And when connectivity breaks, the effects cascade. News coverage intensifies. Travelers post videos of packed terminals. Journalists interview furious passengers. Politicians demand investigations. Airlines issue statements. They apologize. They blame weather. They blame staffing shortages. They blame air traffic control. Everyone blames someone. But the truth is more complex. The system was designed for efficiency, not resilience. It was optimized for cost, not redundancy. And when something unexpected happened, there was no buffer to absorb it. The failure wasn't a single mistake. it was 1,000 small decisions made over years that removed every margin of error. By the end of the week, flights are mostly back to normal, but the conversation has shifted. People are asking whether the system is actually safe. Not safe from crashes, safe from collapse. Flights resume, schedules stabilize, passengers move through airports again. But something has changed. People check their flights obsessively. They arrive earlier, they pack lighter, they avoid tight connections. The trust is gone. Passengers who used to book confidently now hedge. They choose refundable tickets. They avoid booking important trips during busy periods. They expect delays. Airlines restore their schedules, but they know the system is still fragile. One bad weather day, one staffing shortage, one technical failure, and it could all collapse again. The infrastructure hasn't changed. The crew rules haven't changed. The capacity constraints haven't changed. What changed is that everyone now knows how close the system runs to the edge. Airport executives hold meetings. They discuss contingency plans, surge capacity, better communication, backup systems. But most of those solutions require money, and the industry is built on thin margins. So the plans are discussed, then shelved. Passengers keep flying. They have no choice. Work requires travel. Families are spread across the country. Vacations are booked. But the anxiety remains. Every delay feels like the beginning of another collapse. Every cancellation feels like a warning. And nobody knows when it will happen again. Today, airports function. Planes take off, passengers arrive at their destinations. The system works most of the time. But it works because nothing goes wrong. The margins are still thin. The staffing is still tight. The schedules are still optimized for perfect conditions. Air traffic control still operates with outdated technology. Airlines still run minimal reserves. Airports still operate at maximum capacity during peak hours. The fragility hasn't been fixed. It's been accepted. Industry analysts talk about resilience. Regulators talk about oversight. But the fundamental structure remains unchanged, because changing it would require admitting the system is designed to fail under pressure, and admitting that would require rebuilding it. So instead, everyone hopes the next disruption is small, manageable, containable. Passengers have learned to expect less. They don't expect flights to be on time. They expect flights to eventually leave. They don't expect their bags to arrive with them. They expect their bags to arrive eventually. The standard has lowered, and everyone has adjusted. The airports still stand, the planes still fly, but the confidence is gone. What happened wasn't a freak event. It was a preview, a demonstration of what happens when a system built for efficiency meets unpredictability. And the unpredictability isn't going away. Weather is getting more volatile. Staffing is getting harder. Technology is aging. The next time the airports stop working, it might not be for days. It might be for weeks. And when that happens, the world will realize just how much depends on a system held together by hope and tight scheduling. Until then, the airports keep running, operational but fragile, moving but barely.